All right, welcome to this first quarterfinal match from the Alpha Navigators Cup number 24. Happened just this past weekend. Starring in our blue celestial here, High, who's already sending out a morph core in the right direction and towards his opponent, msrm in the red infernal, who has opened with a vault, and his hexen is unfortunately going in the wrong direction and will not see what's coming for him potentially, although this morph core has morphed into a collection array to open for High. And again, this is just going to be some advantageous positioning for High. High might be able to use this positioning to make attacks towards msrm's base. Of course, that could also turn the other way around. msrm could use this position equally as well. It's just Celestials can be a little bit cheesier, might be able to fly the Arc Fortress over this river here, do some silliness. So we'll see how that turns out. We know that, for instance, right now, the tier 3 tech path, the fast tier 3, I guess you could say, is one that works pretty well against Infernals because of the Fate's End and the potential for Archangels right now. So we'll see if that develops. We do have some Therium mining for High, and msrm is right here creeping this camp, and it's not clear because we don't have player vision yet in the observer tools, but I don't think either of them can see one another right now. Although, there we go. Okay, so msrm does send out a Fiend to scout, sees the Creation Chamber. There's nothing yet coming from the Creation Chamber, and that's possibly because this Guardian Nexus is the tech. But we do have a Sovereign's Watch that goes down, and a few Fiends die. The Hexen makes it away, only losing her Shroud Skin, and it looks like that Guardian Nexus is going to get up, and maybe we'll see our first Kree coming out for High. Kree being a popular tech choice against the Infernals in the early game because they're pretty good against most of them, with the exception of maybe these big boys, because they're heavy. So msrm is going to continue creeping, using the map control to gain a little bit more creep income, and then also gain some vision on the map. And it looks like we have a Kree coming out. I don't think I see one out yet, but we see it rallied towards the health camp to reclaim it. Another morph core out for another Creation Chamber for High, and it looks like third base and another Creation Chamber being taken over here, while msrm is going to continue creeping, taking the next vision camp. More brutes rallied, and let's take a look at what msrm has got back home. This is a Greater Shrine that's already done. We have Conclave, we have a Twilight Spire going down, so we might be seeing a heavy tech switch into more airplay, specifically Spriggans would be my guess. And we still see the creeping going on over here. It's the micro of the Fiends. Fiends now with less hit points after the recent patch, making them, a little squishier. And so you're going to just need to micro them a little bit more if you want to keep them alive and preserve their value. We've got that Hexen deciding, oh wait, that's kind of vulnerable. Those speedy Kree might get on top of me, so she does her little dance and gets home. And the Fiends came to eat that healing cabbage. I think that was also maybe just a scouting play to see if there had been a fourth base or a secret base put down there. The Fiends get here, but without micro. Okay, they get around that Kree. They do manage to focus it down. Now that must be game knowledge from msrm that I do not have. I just think Kree shred Fiends, but he probably knew that if I can catch one, if it's not in its rolly state, then it doesn't do the splash damage when it attacks, and that's probably why those Fiends were able to take out one Kree. So good to know. Now I have that game knowledge as well. So this Fiend's heading out here. We actually have Kree creeping the speed camp. this fiend is trying to recapture these camps. I didn't actually notice, but Kree must have rolled out and captured them for high. And now the map control has sort of been relinquished by msrm to high with these speedy Kree. Now they're chasing away this fiend, but they didn't actually capture the map. There we go. So one of them went back to capture the camp, and maybe they're going to ignore that fiend and just go for the health camp. Meanwhile, msrm's going to have to take this speed camp. The other one's way on the other side of the map and definitely in High's favor. And High has now both the healing camps. And that's beneficial because not only does it speed up the healing that his units get, but it means that there's no healing. We see this fiend is not healing up passively. And using that map control, High is again going to take this speed camp. So what happened here? Oh, I guess a fiend must have came in and taken that. But almost all the camps currently being claimed by High, meaning these Kree are just a little extra dangerous. That they proved it on that poor imp getting chopped up. And they're just speeding around, and they're not going to test the door. There is a Wraithstone there. And we see how immediately they're slowed down, and I think High noticed that as well. And decided, okay, yikes, I don't know if I want to attack into a Wraithstone. We have some Argents out, but there's Spriggan here. I didn't notice the Spriggan pop, and they have moved out to harass. And it looks like they have killed one collection array already. And now they're focusing this creation chamber. They get an Argent, some good micro from msrm. Argents, of course, being heavy, are going to take extra damage from the Spriggans. And the Spriggans also have their Binding Saliva, which is used to slow the unit and slow their attacking speed. I think it also slows production. Now there's some controversy about whether that skill is called Binding Saliva or Blinding Saliva. And we saw there right on the tooltip that it was called Binding Saliva. But if you check the patch notes, maybe it's been corrected, but the most recent patch notes called it Blinding Saliva. So I think even members of Frostgate, or Frost Giants, sorry, Frostgate, I like that. Maybe they don't even know what it's called over there. Now these Spriggans are causing a lot of problems. The Argents, though, seem to be ignoring them, partly because I think they are pretty weak against the Spriggans, and turning to fight hasn't really yielded them any kills yet. Spriggans are harassing them as they're trying to just flee. Where are they trying to get to? The Kree are up ahead. Maybe they're trying to make the fight come to back to msrm's base. And unfortunately, Kree can't do anything about the Spriggans, but they do force a cancel on this base. So there's a minor benefit to this, and maybe the main goal was to distract these Spriggans away from the continued harass. But it does look like there's a small force here, a Brute and a Gaunt, fighting an Argent. That's an interesting strike force there. msrm has split his forces in an interesting way. We've got a single mag here, escorted by these Sprigs. So these ground forces are just sort of skirmishing units for the moment, and it looks like the Kree come back home and take out that force, managing to save that creation chamber. But the Sprigs here take it out, so saved it for not very long. And it's starting to look a little bit rough for High. The Spriggan harass has turned more into just straight damage here. We're seeing buildings go down, and now in the main, there's a link node that has not yet been upgraded. We see a Sarvin's Watch going down, but we get a focus fire on the collection array. One Sprig goes down. Couldn't fly away fast enough. Bunch of Kree here for moral support. There's two Argents. Another couple Sprigs are going to go down. The second Sarvin's Watch has been used, and we see another block of Spriggans arrive. There's Vectors on the field now, and Vectors are pretty good anti-air. Certainly better than the Argents, or the small number of Argents. And we see another Sovereign's Watch get triggered. That might be the third charge there. And that's good news for msrm. That means coming to harass this base, There's unlikely going to be another Sovereign's Watch. And these units are trying to chase the Sprigs around. Of course, the Sprigs are just highly mobile. They've decided to get on top of the Argents, take out a Vector. And another Vector goes down, another Argent goes down. More Vectors here, spawning from the Starfire Forge at this base, but having to run away. One Vector getting away. And now the Star Forge is going to get focused. These Spriggans taking out bases. And High just hoping that cooldown on the Sovereign's Watch can kick back in. Get another charge up, so hopefully defend maybe this base here. And we see that msrm is summoning effigies. As we know, the effigies, of course, replenish the Shroud Skin. And it works, of course, also on our flying unit. So this is just sort of preemptive. Not only were a lot of the Spriggans low on Shroud, on their Shroud Skin white health, they, if the Sovereign's Watch was triggered, it would really help them battle off some of that damage. Another collection array going down. These Sprigs, I think, are possibly going to be ending the game here. We see the two Vectors doing their best, but also going down. The Kree just rolling around, all in the same hotkey. And now it's just free reign in the main here. These Sprigs momentarily just chilling, but then they turn their attention back to doing damage. Focus firing power banks. Now, because of all the lost collection arrays and production buildings, losing these power banks does not put High into red power yet. There has been no collection array re-added over here. In fact, it looks like High has rebuilt a partial main up here in the top right. We do see an Ascension Matrix and two Star Forges, as well as this Legion Hall. And this is also where we have the Arc Station, not yet at tier 3. More Vectors added, so we're starting to get a little bit of the anti-air force that you might want against those Sprigs. But it looks like High's turning to the camps as an alternative source of income, having lost a lot of that income. Meanwhile, msrm, having added a dragon, this is a ground force now. Hellborn, Mag, a lot of Gaunts, and they are upgraded. They take out another hidden base. The only reason I think this game has not been over, well, we actually see a GG now. Okay, here we are back in game 2 with High in the blue Celestials, spawning here in the bottom left of Boneyard, sending out his Morph Core for the first collection array. And we've got a vault opening from his opponent, msrm, in the red Infernal top right of Boneyard. And his Hexen is already out on the map, and she is going to try and scout out what exactly is High planning. Is there going to be any cheese, or is there going to be a standard kind of macro build? I've seen a few of High games. I don't think High is, at least the games I've watched, known for some of those cheesier builds. And we do see that High is indeed going for collection array first, and now msrm confirms that as well, but wants to march into the main. One reason there is to see where this prism is. Is it mining Therium or is it mining Luminite? If it's mining Therium, this can be a signal that maybe there's some tech play, maybe there's some cheese, maybe there's some tier 3 Arc Fortress, maybe there's some Seraphim, or maybe it's just fast vectors, something like that. But that's not what we saw. And we do see msrm here creeping and going for a fast shrine. Fast in the sense that there's only a single vault out, no conclave added, and creeping out the health camp. And did we see? We didn't see any creeping attempt here, and that's one reason that is our arc ships here. Oh, actually, on the most recent patch, the arc ship can no longer be used to creep. You would maybe need a power bank or something here, I think. I'm not sure if the Sovereign's Watch is going to reach all the way from the collection array. I'm sure if you play Celestial, you probably know exactly what that range is going to be. But we see High instead sort of committing to buildings back in the main. A couple power banks here, as well as a Guardian Nexus. The Guardian Nexus is going to help production of Kree. That's what we saw the tech choice was, at least early game for High last game. But msrm's Fiends now are into the natural. They're going to try and trigger a Sovereign's Watch. You now see the rolling upgrade. What is this one? Roll out upgrade. And now we get a Sovereign's Watch, as one of these power banks did take some damage. And of course, Celestial buildings do indeed actually heal up pretty quickly. So damage on Celestial buildings will self-repair. The opposite of Infernal buildings, which cannot be repaired. At least not without exploiting your Vanguard friends. If you have a Vanguard ally, I think, well, let's just do a quick check. Yeah, the structure counts as mechanical, and that means that they can be repaired by Bob. So if you can convince a Bob to repair your buildings, then you're good to go. So it looks like msrm is going to move across the map. While it's stopping at the vision camp, possibly this is just about stealing some creeps and getting some map control. But it could also be some early pressure. We have some gaunts being added to this. And the camp goes down, and it's creation chambers for High with the first Kree out on the map taking the healing camp. This is going to be good timing, because we now see a bunch of Fiends into the base. They try to do a run by, but there's a bunch of Krees here, and I think, yeah, wisely msrm decides I don't want to turn and fight that. They already have the rollout upgrade, so that means when they come out of the rollout, they do a circular splash damage. We just see that sort of animation there, and it does damage to all of these Fiends. In fact, again, that's that msrm micro and game knowledge, knowing that if I can catch that single Kree, I can actually kill it. I don't think he lost a single Fiend there. But now his Fiends are low. And, ooh, there goes some Fiends. So one Fiend goes down there. And trying to get away so that he doesn't have to lose any more. Although there's another Kree there. That was some nice micro from High. I think you have to get them moving so they can do the rollout. And once they come out of the rollout, they do the splash damage. So maybe that was micro. Maybe it just was triggered with some aggro and still managed to do the rollout animation. So these two Kree here, looks like they were doing a little bit of damage in the base. And they're going to be joined by their friends. They're going to chase a couple Fiends this way. But that's a lot of Kree. And these Fiends don't really want to fight into that. There's a couple Argents as well. But the Fiends are sort of trying to keep these units busy. Maybe not wanting them to push into the base. Although it does look like there's a fighting force back home that could help deal with that. Gaunts, of course, being a bit squishy. Especially against the Kree's bonus to light armored units. There were a couple brutes there as well. Now these Fiends are trying to get into the base and do some damage, so they've run by. This is certainly a distraction now. One power bank's already gone down. We see a Sovereign's Watch putting High into the red power. A couple Fiends going down, but now that the Kree have come back, they have to run away. This is a second Arc ship. I think this is good. I don't think we lost the Arc ship. Where was the first Arc ship? Maybe we did lose the first Arc ship. No, there it is. Okay, I'm like, what would it have been lost to? We've only seen Fiends on the map so far. Although we now see Spriggans coming out. And they're fighting into a Strike Note and a Sovereign's Watch. And, oh, almost losing one. A Fiend going down instead. And the Spriggans retreating. So as the Argents arrived, another Link Node now converting into a Strike Node. So High has adjusted his strategy from last game, doing a little bit more static D to try and protect these bases, and so far paying off, as well as more heavily committing to Argents here, I think, for the anti-air. And ooh, we see it also over here. One strike node going down already, another strike node. Ooh, almost done, but they're retreating. Couple Spriggans, the cost of this harass. And it looks like they're going to have to retreat before they get this. Another couple going down. Actually, one managing to stay alive. So the collection rate does go down. So do these new strike nodes. So it looks like a couple of them were cancelled, to be honest. There's not necessarily a clear indication of it being cancelled, at least not that I know of. Unlike, for instance, seeing an imp after you cancel an Inferno's building. So once again, the Air Force is starting to look pretty devastating for MSRM, and has taken out one of the mining bases for High. So High needs to stabilize and probably get some good anti-air out. Here we have attacking into another strike node with a Sovereign's Watch. Taking out the strike node, now trying to focus down the collection array. We have one Spriggan going down, but then the Sovereign's Watch retargeted on a full health Spriggan, which was not lucky necessarily. There's an Animancer out, but she's kind of caught all by herself and she gets picked off. And now we see another collection array quickly. Oh, sorry, that was the power bank's health. I thought that was the collection array's health going down so quickly, but no, the collection array is now gone. So unfortunately for High, this harass is once again doing some serious damage to his economy. Now they're circling down here. Are there more for me to pick off? But there isn't one down here. Meanwhile, Fiend's capturing this camp. I think the Kree have been out creeping. I think what we're seeing here from MSRM is what the weakness of this Kree opening is. Kree can be very strong against the tier 1 units, but of course they don't shoot up, and they're just weaker against the Spriggans. And despite their speed, they can get around the map, but they just can't do anything. And we see that these Argents are much slower trying to rush back. Possibly a Vector opening would have been a better opening. Of course, we're not really sure what that would mean for MSRM's tech choices. And now MSRM's on top of this Legion Hall. We do see one Dark Prophecy going down, but it was a little bit out of position. And this Brigand's just easily maneuvered away. Now they're back into the main. Took out an Ascension Matrix. Focused on the Guardian Nexus for a moment. Take out the backup Ascension Matrix. And they fly away. The Argent's not really being able to catch up to them to do any real damage. Looking for another array, but High has not had the opportunity to replace these arrays, so he has replaced this one. The Morph Core flying is there. There is an array up there as well, so actually I was wrong. Managed to replace a few of these arrays, and that is what's keeping him in the game. This Morph Core immediately comes back, and I assume once there's some minerals, we'll create another array. But the Spriggans now up here are attacking this array. Unconverted link nodes taken out, and now we see this array is probably going to go down as well. So non-stop harass out of these Spriggans, and now we've just doubled their air force. And they're back out. They've now found this arch ship. Now the Animancers did get some shots off. There's an Argent here kind of out of position, picked off. The arch ship goes down. Now we see the Spriggans on top of this Morph Core take it out. A Prism's going down as well. So much economic damage. We do see one Dark Prophecy here. Managed to get a little damage on these Sprigs, but not quite enough. Now we do have Scythes out, and the Scythes have changed into a slightly better anti-air unit, and I'd like to see exactly how size match up against Spriggans in the new match. But it's just a little too late for the tech change in this game, and that's a GG out of high.